Mr. President, thank you very much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to present to you the first report of the UN Secretary General on the recently established United Nations Integrated Peacebuilding Office in Sierra Leone. As we meet here today, Mr. President, Sierra Leone is entering its 8th year of peace. It was in January 2002 that the then President, Ahmed Tejan Kaba, declared the end to 11 years of an often brutal war. Since then, Sierra Leone has made great strides. Today, there are no longer any armed opposition groups in Sierra Leone, and the use of arms in political and ethnic disputes has almost completely disappeared. Over the last 7 years, we have seen a number of democratic elections and the peaceful transition from one elected government to another. There have also been 2 important and peaceful local government elections and a number of by-elections since 2004, the most recent election having taken place in July of last year. Promising are also signs that non-governmental associations are increasingly engaging in free and fair elections to select or replace their leaders. Sierra Leone has also made considerable progress in rebuilding key national institutions. The performance of the National Electoral Commission and the Sierra Leone police during the recent elections has been very professional. Sierra Leone has now a working Human Rights Commission, and the first steps have been taken towards the decentralization of power to the provinces. Although exact statistics are hard to come by, there is a general agreement among experts that poverty levels in Sierra Leone have dropped since the year 2003. Furthermore, a recent health survey would indicate that child mortality rates have considerably declined, providing an example of how focused government interventions, together with decisive support from the international development partners, can produce results. Mr. President, despite these encouraging achievements, much remains to be done, and Sierra Leone's young democracy continues facing daunting challenges. Sierra Leone remains one of the poorest countries in the world and is at the bottom of the UNDP's Human Development Index. Despite all the progress that has been made, many Sierra Leoneans do not yet fully benefit from any peace dividend. This is especially the case for many rural poor and the country's youth. Almost a year and a half into the tenure of the new government, expectations among many Sierra Leoneans remain high that the new government will deliver on the promises it made during the elections. For the government, it is now very important not to lose the momentum, to stay the course and implement the many reforms and plans it has set out to do. The President's Agenda for Change provides an excellent policy document to lead and focus the work of the government over the coming years. Also we, the international development partners for Sierra Leone, should stay the course and fulfill our commitments, even at the difficult times of a global financial crisis. In a region that is beset by social, political, economic problems, it is important that we all work together with the government to make Sierra Leone a success story and turn it into a beacon of democracy, stability and economic progress. This job has not yet been done. It will require continued government efforts and sustained international cooperation. Many donors have come to the support of Sierra Leone. In addition to the international organizations such as the United Nations Family, the World Bank, the IMF and the African Development Bank, I would like to applaud in particular the sustained support that Sierra Leone has been receiving over the years from the British government and the European Commission, as well as from its regional partners, in particular Nigeria. Also other countries such as China, Ireland, Germany, the United States, Japan and Italy have proven valuable and reliable partners to Sierra Leone. I would also like to welcome Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands and India, who have now joining supporting Sierra Leone. Nonetheless, we will have to continue making all efforts to even further expand the donor base for this country. Mr. President, coming out of a conflict and trying to consolidate peace will never be an easy task. And as we travel down the road towards greater stability and economic progress, we must be fully aware of the risks that lie ahead. Only then can we deal with them effectively. Therefore, I believe that it is of utmost importance that President Koroma, in his agenda for change, has clearly reiterated his government's determination to combat the three most imminent threats to Sierra Leone's road to peace and prosperity: corruption, illicit drug trafficking, and youth unemployment. Let me be more specific. The government has made considerable progress in stemming out corruption. The newly structured Anti-Corruption Commission has made a credible start, and a recently approved anti-corruption law gives a legal basis for decisive actions. However, old habits die slowly and require more time and perseverance to overcome. I remain, however, confident that the government is determined to ensure that any real or perceived administrative mismanagement or corruption will not derail the strong commitments it has made to the people of Sierra Leone and its international development partners in dealing with this problem. UNIPSIL and the UN country team stand ready to continue the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission. In this context, I welcome also the work of UNDP together with other development partners in supporting the government's civil service reforms, with the aim of creating a more transparent and effective government. I also welcome the recently established Presidential Committee to review all mining contracts in the country that were so much the source of conflicts in the past. On illicit drugs. The trafficking of illicit drugs from Latin America through West Africa en route to European markets has created immense political and socio-economic challenges in large parts of the subcontinent, of the sub-region. This threat has now reached the shores of Sierra Leone. Thankfully, Sierra Leone is still in the preventive stage. Illicit drugs have not yet penetrated its society and undermined its institutions. The fight against illicit drugs can therefore be won, and the decisive actions taken by President Koroma following the seizure of the plane loaded with illicit drugs in July of last year are particularly commendable. The financial and logistic powers of international drug cartels largely surpass the resources that are available to countries such as Sierra Leone. The street value of the recently seized cocaine is estimated to exceed the entire government's budget for that year. Sierra Leone will therefore need strong and reliable international support. In this context, I would like to thank the British government, the United States, as well as UNODC for their prompt action in support of Sierra Leone's law enforcement services. I would also like to thank the Netherlands for considering funding a sizable assistance program to strengthen Sierra Leone's law enforcement agents. I further welcome plans by Venezuela and Colombia to strengthen their cooperation with law enforcement authorities in West Africa and stand ready to facilitate any cooperation they want to extend also to Sierra Leone. On youth unemployment. One of the most disheartening aspects of many post-conflict society is that the youth, instead of being the most productive resource of a country and a symbol for their future, may indeed be perceived as a potential threat to peace and stability. We estimate that in Sierra Leone, about 1 million young people are either underemployed or simply unemployed. Despite this magnitude of the problem, attempts to find solutions to youth unemployment have remained modest. To deal with this problem, the government is in the process of setting up a National Youth Commission. It is now important that this is followed up with a number of concrete programs that are designed to make a difference in the life of 10,000s of young men and women. All this would require a focused and well-coordinated approach by the government and international development partners. Mr. President, allow me to add a few words on our own behalf. As stipulated by the Council, we have now established a new UN integrated peacebuilding office in Sierra Leone. The essential groundwork has been laid, but more work still needs to be done in order to become fully functional. We see the new UN Integrated Peacebuilding Office as a vehicle for the partnership between the United Nations, including the UN Peacebuilding Commission and indeed this Council, and the democratically elected government of Sierra Leone. It will be our primary task to assist the country and its government through the difficult process of consolidating peace. In this spirit, we see ourselves at the forefront of developing and testing a new and, above all, practical concept of effective peacebuilding. Compared to the previous mission, our new office is much smaller, but at the same time much more substantive, enabling us to deal professionally with the many important mandates that you have given to us. More importantly, we have been able to develop a stronger integrated approach between the political mandate given to UNIPSIL and the development and humanitarian mandates given to our sister UN agencies. The result of this new approach is a joint vision of the UN family for Sierra Leone, a document that has recently received the endorsement from the UN Peacebuilding Commission. Let me take this opportunity to thank all my colleagues from the UN country team and their exceptional readiness to work together for the good of Sierra Leone and their great spirit of mutual support. Mr. President, peacebuilding in Sierra Leone needs sustained political and financial support from the international community. And here we will continue to rely on the vital support that we have received from the UN Peacebuilding Commission. In particular, the personal commitment, support, leadership that His Excellency Ambassador Frank Mayor has given to the UN family, my team and myself over the critical transition period from a peacekeeping to a peacebuilding mission is highly appreciated. We intend to further strengthen this important relationship between the Peacebuilding Commission in New York and the UN Peacebuilding Office in Freetown. Ambassador Mayor and I have been discussing the possibility of holding together with the government, either here in New York or in Freetown, a special session of the Peacebuilding Commission to rally international support behind the President's agenda for change and the UN's joint vision. Mr. President, peacebuilding will not be achieved overnight. There will be no clear benchmarks to tell us if and when we have succeeded. We need patience, and we need to avoid succumbing to undue rush. Peacebuilding has to be nurtured, and that needs time. However, at the same time, peacebuilding brings with it a sense of urgency. After a conflict, expectations are high, and many of the underlying problems that once led to the civil conflict need to be urgently addressed. Together with the government, we will therefore have to find the right balance between patience and perseverance on the one hand and the need to act urgently on the other. Finding the right balance may largely determine our success in peacebuilding. Finally, Mr. President, let me assure you of the commitment and determination of all my UN colleagues from UNIPSIL as well as from our sister UN agencies to make peacebuilding in Sierra Leone a success. Being the first of the new type of fully integrated UN peacebuilding offices, we all hope that with your help we will be able to make Sierra Leone an example also for other countries that may choose a similar path out of conflict. Let me also thank the UN Secretary General for the confidence invested in me, as well as Mr. Lynn Pascoe, the Under Secretary General for Political Affairs, and Kamal Darwish, UNDP Administrator, for their support. Let me also thank the government of Sierra Leone, and here in particular President Koroma, for the warm and colloquial welcome that I have received in their country. Thank you for your attention.